Hey, what's up, New Life leaders and apprentices? We are so excited that you're joining us here to be a part of these videos. We're going to be doing a handful of videos over the next few weeks for you to help prepare you. The first video that we're going to be talking about this week is just building your group. I think it can be one of the scariest things to start a new group, at least for me. I don't think Jay has this fear, but I have this fear that nobody's going to show up. So I think the first step when you're starting a new group is something really important, and Jay was going to share it.
Yeah, first things first is just start with prayer. This is God's group, and He's going to put the right people in your group to invest in over time, and just people in your community. One of the verses that we kind of looked at was Mark 1:17, which says, Jesus called out to them, "Come follow me, and I will show you how to fish for people." So first things first, pray, and then write down a list of people that you have in mind of who to invite.
Yeah, and okay, so when you're writing down people's names, you're starting a group. Okay, let's say the goal for a group is around 12 people. Jesus had 12 disciples. How many people would you put on your list that you were going to invite if you're aiming for that? Okay, let's shoot for 12 people to be there on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I think I'd actually go higher. That way, you can invite 20. That way, if some say no, you'd still have a group of around 10 to 12. Yeah,
absolutely. And there's kind of a critical mass, that happens in group, and sometimes it's neat. You get 4 people that show up, and I've seen God do some awesome things, and I think embrace that. But there's also this neat thing that happens when there's that group size that Jesus modeled of 10 to 12 people, and it's safe to share, but not too big where people are scared. And so I think, like you said, you kind of double the number. People have busy schedules. You and I have a busy schedule. And so it's important to understand that, I always aim high, and invite people. And one of the things that I do is I always have my iPhone on me, and so I just think about, okay, I have it on me, and I just start a list in the notes, and I just start writing names down, and that gives me the opportunity to pray for those people. And so the second thing that I think is really important is make sure you have an apprentice, and if you're starting a group or you're a part of a group, you should have somebody that you're doing it with. And Jesus always sent people out 2 by 2. He never, there's no people doing ministry alone in the Bible, and that's how you get into trouble when you're out and you get discouraged and you're on your own. And so I think having an apprentice, somebody, and sometimes you say, "Hey, Jay, you're my apprentice," and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just invite somebody to come do ministry with you and tell them later on, and maybe you've been there before where somebody told you later on. But I think there's something really neat that happens when you have an apprentice, and you can start praying together and start thinking about who you want to invite together. I think there's a scripture in Ecclesiastes, and it talks about 2 are better than 1. The return is better when you work together. And I just think that's so important when you're looking at who is going to be in your group. Jay, what's the third thing?
Yeah, so the third thing is dream big. Shoot for the people who wouldn't even step inside a church on a Sunday. So whether that's a coworker, an old friend, a family member, you don't want to say no for them, because God has a place for them in His kingdom too. And so with that, just dream big and keep inviting, and keep that door open for them to come into your group. Yeah,
absolutely. I think it's so important. I think that's so important. You just, God has put certain people in your life for a reason. We talked a couple weeks ago, Wes mentioned, watch out for people, and they say certain things like, things aren't going well in my life. That's kind of a crack or an opportunity for you to invite somebody to your group. And a lot of times we think it's scary maybe to come to a group. Actually, a lot of people will say yes to coming to a group way before they would ever consider coming to a church. It's just inviting them over to your house. You're having a Bible study or cookies or whatever it is. Invite them over, and I just think God does incredible things through groups. And so I'm just excited about this next season, what God's going to do, and appreciate you stepping up as a leader. God's going to use you in a big way. So thanks, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.